Hey there, it's your garden Ulrich again, and today we're talking about a topic that makes thousands of gardens suffer needlessly, wastes your hard-earned weekend time, and single-handedly ruins the very foundation of your backyard. We are talking about the endless, exhausting war against weeds, and specifically the absolute worst weapon people use to fight it. Picture this. The first warm weekend of spring hits. The birds are singing, you walk outside with your coffee, and what do you see? Dandelions, thistles, bindweed creeping through your prized flower beds. Panic sets in. So you jump in the car, race down to the local garden center, and there it is in the aisle, gleaming under the fluorescent lights, wrapped in shiny plastic with a label that essentially promises a miracle. Weed Control Fabric. Weed Fleece, the black carpet of permanent salvation. You buy 3 heavy rolls of the stuff, drag it home, roll it out over your garden beds, peg it down, cover it with a thin layer of wood chips, and brush your hands together. Problem solved forever, right? Meanwhile, your soil is lying underneath that plastic sheet, desperately gasping for air, looking up and thinking, "Bro, are you seriously suffocating me right now? I just woke up from winter hibernation and you locked me in a plastic bag." This is the classic, predictable trap almost every amateur gardener falls into. We want a quick fix, we want a sterile, maintenance-free garden. But in our sheer over-eagerness to stop a few dandelions, we accidentally nuke the entire biological engine of our yard. In this video, I am going to expose exactly what that black plastic fleece does to your soil, why it is practically guaranteed to fail anyway, and I'm going to give you my bulletproof natural system to keep weeds out while supercharging your plant growth. I am going to give you 3 clear steps to follow and 3 things you must absolutely stop doing right now. Make sure you stick around until the end, because the third thing you need to stop doing is something your grandfather probably taught you, and it is the exact reason you have weeds in the first place. The biggest mistake isn't doing too little in the garden, it's doing too much, too early, and doing things that are permanently damaging because we don't understand how nature actually works. Let's dive right into the great myth of the magic carpet, the weed fleece. Why do we buy it? Because the logic seems flawless on the surface, weeds need light to grow, black plastic blocks the light, therefore no weeds. It is simple math. But a garden is not a math equation. A garden is a living, breathing, biological metropolis. Imagine it is the middle of July. It is 95 degrees outside. Now imagine I force you to put on a heavy, non-breathable rubber raincoat, zip it up to your chin, and then I tell you to stand in the sun and eat a dry cracker. You would be sweating, suffocating, and miserable. That is exactly what you're doing to your soil when you roll out synthetic weed barrier. Soil is not just dead dirt holding your plants upright. Good soil is packed with billions of microscopic bacteria, miles of fungal networks, and thousands of earthworms. These guys are your underground unpaid interns. They work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, processing dead leaves, breaking down minerals, and delivering nutrients directly to the roots of your roses and tomatoes. But these workers have basic labor rights. They require oxygen and they require water. When you lay down a sheet of woven plastic or spun-bond polyester fleece, you are sealing the roof on that underground city. Yes, the packaging says it is permeable and lets water through. But let me tell you what actually happens in the real world. Over the first few months, the tiny pores in that fabric get clogged with fine silt and clay particles. It turns into an impermeable tarp. When it rains, the water doesn't gently percolate into the soil. It hits that clogged fabric and runs right off the sides. Your plant roots are sitting underneath dry as a bone, wondering if there is a drought going on, while the surface of your garden is a puddle. Worse than the water issue is the oxygen issue. The soil cannot exhale its carbon dioxide and it cannot inhale fresh oxygen. The earthworms, finding no fresh organic matter to eat and no air to breathe, pack their tiny bags and migrate to your neighbor's yard. The beneficial, oxygen-loving bacteria suffocate and die. They are replaced by anaerobic bacteria, the kind that thrive in stagnant, oxygen-starved environments. The soil turns sour, compacted, and hard as concrete. You have essentially set up a beautiful buffet for your plants, but you locked the kitchen doors and fired the cooking staff. And here is the ultimate punchline, the cruelest joke of the weed fleece industry. It doesn't even stop the weeds. You might get 1 weed-free year, maybe 2. But nature is incredibly patient, and nature always exploits a vacuum. Over time, the wind blows dust into your yard, the trees drop their autumn leaves, birds fly over and drop a little fertilizer, if you know what I mean. All of this debris settles right on top of your weed fabric, nestled beautifully in the wood chips you spread over it to make it look nice. Fast forward 3 years, and that debris has decomposed. You now have 2 solid inches of rich, beautiful, freshly made compost sitting directly on top of your plastic barrier. And guess what lands in that beautiful new soil? Weed seeds. Dandelion fluffs floating on the breeze, thistle seeds. They land on top of the fabric in that new dirt layer and they germinate. They are thrilled. But as they grow, their roots reach down, hit the plastic fleece, and instead of stopping, they weave themselves directly through the synthetic fibers. Now you have a real nightmare on your hands. You walk out to pull a simple weed, and instead of it sliding out of the soil, it is physically anchored into a sheet of Kevlar-strength plastic. You pull hard. The weed doesn't break. The whole entire sheet of fabric lifts up, heaving your wood chips into the grass, disturbing your ornamental plants, and revealing the compacted, sour, dead dirt underneath. Eventually, you realize the fleece has failed. You try to rip it out, but it has become brittle from age and UV exposure, and it shreds into a million tiny, sharp pieces of microplastic that you will be picking out of your rose bed until the end of time. So, what is the answer? Do we just surrender to the weeds? Do we spend every Saturday on our hands and knees pulling dandelions until our backs give out? Absolutely not. Throw away the weed fleece. Cancel the order. If it is already in your garage, use it to line a doghouse or put it under a gravel driveway, but keep it far away from your soil. Instead, we are going to work with nature, using a method pioneered by brilliant gardeners like Charles Dowding, often called the no-dig method, or lasagna gardening. We are going to smother the weeds, feed the unpaid interns, and build incredible soil, all at the exact same time. Let's get into the exact process. Step number 1, the cardboard foundation. Instead of synthetic plastic, we are going to use plain, ordinary brown corrugated cardboard. You might be wondering, why cardboard? Because cardboard is just baked tree pulp. It is pure carbon. To an earthworm, cardboard is basically a giant, delicious pizza crust. It is a temporary shield that does exactly what we need it to do, and then it politely vanishes. When you want to clear an area overgrown with grass or weeds, you don't even need to dig them up. You literally just stomp them down. Then you cover the entire area with overlapping sheets of plain brown cardboard. But you have to be meticulous here. You must overlap the edges of the cardboard pieces by at least 6 to 8 inches, much like overlapping shingles on a roof. Why the heavy overlap? Because perennial weeds like bindweed or creeping buttercup are incredibly smart. They are like a teenager looking for the Wi-Fi password. If there is a single gap, a single chink in the armor where a sliver of sunlight gets through, those weeds will travel horizontally underground for feet at a time just to poke their heads up through that gap. So, build a solid, overlapping floor. Also, a crucial detail. Remove the tape and the staples from the boxes. Amazon Prime packing tape is not organic matter. Earthworms do not digest plastic tape. Do your future self a favor and peel it off now, or you will be finding weird plastic ribbons in your garden beds next spring. And avoid the glossy, heavily printed, waxy cardboard boxes that look like giant billboards. You want the dull, boring, brown, corrugated stuff. Once you lay the cardboard down over the weeds, take your garden hose and soak it thoroughly. You want to wet it down until it is completely saturated, sticking to the contours of the ground like a wet noodle. This does 2 things. First, it stops the wind from blowing your new foundation into the neighbor's yard. Second, it instantly starts the decomposition process. The cardboard creates absolute darkness underneath. The weeds below are suddenly trapped in a pitch-black room. They try to grow, they expend all the energy stored in their roots trying to reach the light, but the heavy, wet cardboard holds them down. Eventually, they exhaust their energy reserves, give up, and die. And as they rot, they turn into free fertilizer right there in the ground. Let's move on to the next phase of the operation. Step number 2, the organic mulch layer. You cannot just leave wet cardboard sitting in your yard. It looks like a recycling center exploded, and it will dry out and blow away eventually. You need weight, and you need to feed the system from the top down. As soon as your wet cardboard is down, you're going to immediately cover it with a thick layer of organic matter. What kind of organic matter? If you are building a vegetable garden, you want to use 3 to 4 inches of high-quality, rich compost. If you are building a decorative flower bed, a shrub border, or planting around trees, you want to use 3 to 4 inches of natural wood chips or shredded bark. Let me explain the difference because it matters. Compost is a fast-release buffet. It is highly active, rich in nutrients, and perfect for fast-growing, hungry plants like tomatoes, lettuce, or zinnias. Wood chips, on the other hand, are a slow-release energy bar. They are carbon-heavy. As they slowly break down over months and years, they encourage beautiful fungal networks in the soil, the exact type of environment that perennial shrubs, fruit trees, and roses absolutely love. When you drop that heavy layer of compost or wood chips on top of the cardboard, magic starts happening. The weight pins the cardboard firmly to the earth. The darkness for the weeds below is now absolute. But here is the biological miracle. The bottom of that cardboard is resting on the soil, and it is moist. The earthworms smell it. They come up from the depths of the subsoil. They latch onto the wet paper fibers and start pulling them down into their burrows. Along with the cardboard, they start pulling down the nutrients from the compost or the decaying wood chips above. You have essentially ordered room service for your entire soil food web. The microbes multiply, the fungi stretch their white thread-like fingers through the wood chips. Over the course of 3 to 6 months, that cardboard will completely dissolve, eaten away by the life in your soil. But by the time the cardboard is gone, the weeds underneath are completely dead and digested, and the soil below is soft, loose, and incredibly fertile. The barrier disappears exactly when it is no longer needed, leaving behind perfection instead of a shredded plastic mess. Now, you might be asking, how do I actually put plants into this setup? That brings us to step number 3, planting into the system. Let's say it is a Saturday. You just laid down your cardboard, you piled on 3 inches of beautiful compost, and you want to plant a tomato seedling or a hosta right now. You do not have to wait for the cardboard to break down. You can plant immediately. Here is what you do. You brush aside the compost right where you want the plant to go. You expose the bare cardboard. Take a trowel or a sharp knife and cut an X into the wet cardboard, just big enough to fit the root ball of your plant. Peel back the little flaps of cardboard, dig a small hole into the original soil below, pop your plant in, firm it up, fold the cardboard flaps back around the base of the plant, and pull the compost back around the stem. Your new plant now has its roots deep in the soil, ready to drink. The cardboard surrounds it, ensuring that no competing weeds can pop up right next to it to steal its water. And the compost on top acts like a thermal blanket, keeping the soil cool in the summer heat and retaining moisture so you barely have to water. The plant looks around and says, "Wow, I have zero competition, perfectly moist soil, and a buffet of nutrients slowly dripping down from above. This is paradise." It will grow faster and stronger than you ever thought possible. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but Ulrich, what if a weed seed blows on top of my beautiful wood chips, just like it did on the plastic fleece? Answer: it will. Nature is relentless. A dandelion seed will absolutely land on your wood chips and try to grow. But here is the massive difference. Because there is no plastic barrier underneath, that weed is growing in a loose, fluffy, aerated layer of organic matter. When you see that tiny dandelion pop up, you don't even need a tool. You just walk over, pinch it with 2 fingers, and pull gently. Because the soil is so incredibly loose from all the earthworm activity, the weed slides out effortlessly, roots and all, with a soft little sigh. It takes 2 seconds. There is no struggling, no ripping out huge chunks of fabric, and no cursing at the sky. Weeding becomes a calm 10-minute stroll with a cup of coffee rather than a sweaty, miserable weekend chore. Now that you know the exact steps to build this glorious self-sustaining system, we need to talk about the saboteurs. We need to talk about the old habits you have picked up over the years that are secretly causing your weed problems. Because if you set up this beautiful cardboard and mulch system, but you keep doing these next 3 things, you are going to ruin it. And now we come to the things you should absolutely stop doing. Number 1, stop tilling and turning your soil. I know, your grandfather had a massive rototiller, and every spring he would fire up that loud, smoky machine and churn the vegetable patch into a fine, powdery dust. It looks like hard work, it looks productive, it feels like you are really doing some serious gardening. But tilling your soil to get rid of weeds is like scratching a mosquito bite with sandpaper. You just make it intensely angry and spread the problem everywhere. Here is the secret biology of weed seeds. Weed seeds are incredibly resilient. Some varieties, like fat hen or bindweed, can lie dormant in the soil for 40, 50, or even 60 years. They are just down there in the dark, asleep, waiting. What are they waiting for? A flash of sunlight. When you run a rototiller through your garden, or when you take a spade and aggressively turn the soil over, you are doing two terrible things. First, you are taking a blender to the delicate fungal networks and earthworm burrows you worked so hard to build. You are destroying the underground city. Second, you are taking millions of dormant, sleeping weed seeds from the dark depths of the soil and bringing them right up to the surface. The moment the sun hits those seeds, it acts like a starting pistol for a marathon. They wake up, they germinate, and 2 weeks later, your garden is a green carpet of fresh weeds. Every time you dig, you plant weeds. Read that again in your mind. Every time you dig, you plant weeds. Let the earthworms do the plowing. They do it microscopically, gently, and without exposing weed seeds to the light. If you need to loosen a compacted spot, use a broad fork to gently crack the soil, but never flip it over. Leave the sleeping seeds in the dark where they belong. Let's get to the second point of things you must avoid. Number 2, stop leaving soil bare. If you look out into nature, go to a forest, a meadow, or a wild prairie, you will almost never see bare dirt. Nature hates bare soil. To nature, bare soil is an open wound. It means erosion is going to happen, moisture is going to evaporate, and beneficial microbes are going to be baked to death by the UV rays of the sun. So, when nature sees an open wound, it immediately applies a band-aid. And do you know what nature's band-aids are? Weeds. Fast-growing, aggressive, deep-rooting pioneer plants designed to cover the soil as quickly as physically possible to protect it. When you spend hours meticulously clearing a garden bed until it is just smooth, naked dirt, and you leave it like that so it looks neat and tidy, the soil is screaming, "I'm naked, I'm burning up," and it will immediately trigger every weed seed it can to cover itself. You must change your aesthetic. Bare soil is not a clean garden. It is a starving, vulnerable garden. Always keep the soil covered. If you don't have a plant growing in a spot, cover that spot with mulch, compost, chopped leaves, or grass clippings. If the soil is shielded from the light by organic matter, the weed seeds won't trigger, and nature won't feel the desperate need to apply her weed band-aids. Treat mulch like the blanket your soil needs to sleep peacefully. And finally, the third thing you need to stop doing. Number 3, stop buying cheap, artificially dyed wood mulch. You have seen it at the gas station or the hardware store, bags of mulch that are dyed radioactive red, jet black, or unnatural orange. People buy it because they think the bold color makes their green plants pop. Let me be perfectly honest with you. Your plants don't care about your color coordination, and your soil absolutely hates that stuff. Much of that dyed mulch is not made from the beautiful, nutrient-rich bark of trees. It is often made from ground-up waste wood, old shipping pallets, and construction debris. It has zero nutritional value for your soil. It is completely devoid of the natural sugars, cambium, and green leaf matter that real wood chips have. Furthermore, that dyed wood has an incredibly high carbon-to-nitrogen ratio. When you lay it on your soil, the microbes are forced to work overtime to break it down. Because it is pure dead carbon, the microbes have to literally suck the nitrogen out of your soil to get the energy to digest it. This means they are stealing the exact nitrogen your plants need to grow. You will notice your plants turning pale yellow and looking stunted, and you will wonder why. It is because your brightly colored designer mulch is starving them. Plus, the dyes themselves, while often claimed to be safe iron oxides, are totally unnecessary chemical additions to an ecosystem that is craving natural biology. Stick to arborist wood chips. If you see a tree service cutting down branches in your neighborhood, go talk to them. They will often dump a massive load of freshly chipped branches, leaves, and bark right in your driveway for free because they have to pay to dump it somewhere else. That material, called ramial chipped wood, is the holy grail of garden mulch. It contains wood, bark, and green leaves all mixed together. It breaks down perfectly, feeding the fungal networks and turning into deep, black, gorgeous soil within a year. It suppresses weeds beautifully, holds moisture like a sponge, and looks exactly the way a forest floor is supposed to look: natural. So be patient. Let go of the fantasy of the zero-maintenance, sterile plastic garden. A garden is not a living room, and it is certainly not an operating theatre. It is an ecosystem. If you try to dominate it with synthetic barriers and aggressive tilling, you will fight an endless losing battle against nature, and nature always wins. She has more time, more seeds, and infinitely more patience than you do. But if you work with her, if you use plain cardboard to gently put the existing weeds to sleep, if you blanket the soil with rich living compost and real wood chips, and if you let the earthworms do the heavy lifting, you will build a garden that practically takes care of itself. The soil will become so spongy you can push your bare hand into it. The plants will grow with a vigor you have never seen before, fighting off pests naturally because their immune systems are fully supported by the nutrient superhighway underground. And those few scattered weeds that do manage to blow in on the wind, they will be so easy to pluck out, you will actually start looking forward to your morning garden walk. Timing and biology are infinitely more important than brute force and quick fixes. Feed the soil, and the soil will feed the plants. Protect the soil, and the soil will protect your weekends. Now, if you are looking at your garden and realizing you have been doing things the hard way, you might also be wondering about what you are actually feeding those plants when you water them, or how you should be making that compost I talked about earlier. There is an entire world of organic magic just waiting for you to unlock it. Which mistakes ruin your lawn and garden soil the fastest when the heat of summer hits? And how do you make the absolute perfect weed seed-free compost at home using just kitchen scraps and yard waste? You definitely need to watch this video right here, where I break down the biggest watering and composting mistakes that sabotage even the best gardeners. If you liked the video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for being here.